The aircraft cruised smoothly at 35,000 feet, cutting through a pale blue sky that looked calm enough to promise an uneventful flight. Flight 728 was halfway across the ocean, and most passengers had settled into the dull comfort of long-haul travel, headphones on, lights dimmed, minds drifting. In the cockpit, Captain Daniel Hargreaves scanned his instruments with practiced ease. Everything looked normal, too normal. Years of flying had taught him that silence in the sky could sometimes be misleading. Then a soft but sharp beep cut through the calm. A warning light flickered. The co-pilot leaned forward. "Captain, we just lost redundancy on the secondary navigation system." Daniel frowned. "Reset it." The co-pilot tried. Nothing happened. Before either of them could speak again, a second alert sounded, this one deeper, more serious. Outside the cockpit windows, clouds were forming faster than expected. Thick, towering walls of grey rolled upward like mountains, swallowing the horizon. "That storm wasn't on the forecast," the co-pilot said quietly. Daniel reached for the radio. "Control, this is Flight 728. We're seeing unexpected weather build-up at our 12 o'clock. Static crackled back, then silence. The radio was dead. Daniel's jaw tightened. Losing communication over the ocean was rare and dangerous. Behind the cockpit door, the cabin remained unaware. Passengers chatted softly. A baby cried. A flight attendant pushed a cart down the aisle. Everything looked normal. But in Seat 12F, a woman had stopped reading. She slowly lowered her book and looked out the window. Her eyes narrowed, not in fear, but recognition. She had seen skies like this before. The turbulence hit without warning. The plane jolted violently, sending gasps through the cabin. Oxygen masks dropped halfway before snapping back into place. Overhead bins rattled. "Ladies and gentlemen," the captain's voice came over the intercom, controlled but firm. "Please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened." Another violent shake slammed the aircraft sideways. In the cockpit, alarms screamed. "We're losing altitude control," the co-pilot shouted. Daniel fought the yoke. "She's not responding." Then another sound, a secure tone, one Daniel hadn't heard in years. A classified channel indicator blinked on the panel. "What the co-pilot whispered. "The system activated by itself." A single line of text appeared on the cockpit display. "Authentication required, passenger verified." Daniel stared at it, blood draining from his face. "That system only activates if—" He stopped himself. "If someone on board was registered with a restricted call sign." Daniel swallowed hard and pressed the intercom button. His voice echoed through the cabin, calm but unmistakably tense. "Passenger in seat 12F, please identify yourself." A wave of confusion rolled through the aircraft. Heads turned, whispers spread. "Did he say 12F? Is this some kind of joke? What's going on?" The flight attendants froze, unsure whether to move. In seat 12F, the woman closed her book. She didn't rush, she didn't panic. She stood calmly, unbuckled her seatbelt, and reached into her jacket pocket. A flight attendant hurried toward her. "Ma'am, please sit down." The woman raised one finger gently. Not threatening, not afraid. "Get the cockpit on the cabin phone," she said quietly. Something in her voice made the attendant obey without question. The turbulence grew worse. Passengers cried out. One man clutched his armrest, praying under his breath. In the cockpit, the cabin phone rang. Daniel answered instantly. "This is Captain Hargreaves." The woman's voice came through, steady, precise. "Captain, my apologies for the disruption." Daniel closed his eyes for half a second. That voice. He knew it. "Confirm your identification," he said. There was a brief pause. Then she spoke 4 words that made the co-pilot freeze. "Call sign, Night Falcon." The cockpit went dead silent. The co-pilot turned slowly. That call sign was retired, classified, only used in joint black sky operations. Daniel's hands trembled slightly on the controls. Night Falcon. A name whispered in briefings. A pilot who flew missions so dangerous they weren't officially recorded. Someone trained to take control when aircraft were already considered lost. Daniel pressed the transmit button again, his voice lower now, respectful. "Night Falcon's authentication code." The woman responded instantly, reciting a sequence no civilian should ever know. Every indicator on the panel turned green. The aircraft stabilized just slightly. Enough to breathe. In the cabin, passengers felt the change. The shaking eased, though the storm still raged outside. "Captain," the co-pilot whispered, "she's legit." Daniel exhaled slowly. "Night Falcon," he said into the phone, "we're flying blind. Navigation and comms are failing. Weather is closing fast." "I know," she replied. "I've been monitoring since the first pressure anomaly." "You were monitoring?" he asked. "Yes, and Captain, this storm isn't natural." Lightning exploded across the cockpit windows. Daniel tightened his grip. "What do you need from us?" he asked. On the other end of the line, the woman in Seat 12F looked once more at the violent sky beyond her window. "First," she said calmly, "you're going to trust me." The plane lurched again, harder this time, and somewhere deep within the storm, something unseen waited. The aircraft dropped suddenly, as if the sky itself had pulled it downward. Screams filled the cabin. Captain Hargreaves fought the controls, sweat forming on his brow. Warning alarms blared in chaotic harmony: altitude loss, airspeed, fluctuation, navigation failure. Every pilot's nightmare was unfolding at once. "Captain," the co-pilot said tightly, "we're entering the core of the storm." "I know," Daniel replied, his eyes fixed ahead. On the cabin phone, the woman from seat 12F spoke again, still calm, still measured. "Captain, reduce thrust by 5%. Adjust heading 10 degrees starboard, now." Daniel hesitated for less than a second, then followed her instructions. The plane steadied, barely, but enough to stop the free fall. "How did you know that?" the co-pilot asked. "Because this storm isn't weather," she replied. "It's interference." Lightning cracked violently across the sky, illuminating thick, spiraling clouds that twisted in unnatural patterns. Instruments flickered, struggling to stay alive. "Electromagnetic disturbance," she continued. "Military grade, someone or something doesn't want aircraft passing through this corridor." Daniel felt a chill crawl up his spine. "This is a civilian flight." "Not to them," she said. "You crossed restricted airspace without knowing it." Outside, a massive wall of clouds swallowed the wings. The engines groaned under the strain. In the cabin, passengers clutched armrests, whispered prayers, held hands with strangers. Flight attendants moved through the aisle, forcing smiles, fighting fear. In seat 12F, the woman finally stood. Despite the turbulence, she moved with practiced balance, gripping seats as she made her way toward the forward galley. A flight attendant tried to stop her. "Ma'am, you can't." "She's with me," the captain's voice suddenly came over the intercom. The attendant stepped aside, stunned. In the cockpit, Daniel unlocked the door. The woman entered. She was younger than he expected, early 30s maybe, but her eyes carried a weight that spoke of countless skies and silent missions. She took in the cockpit with a single glance. You're losing your inertial reference system," she said. "That's why the controls feel sluggish." "You can fix it?" the co-pilot asked. She nodded once. "But you won't like how." She reached into her jacket and pulled out a slim device, unmarked, matte black. She connected it to a hidden port beneath the panel. Immediately, several alarms went silent. "Diverting power," she explained. "I'm bypassing civilian safeties. This aircraft will respond like a military platform for the next 6 minutes." Daniel swallowed. "And after that?" "After that," she said quietly, "we either clear the storm or we don't." The plane shuddered as the device activated. Outside, the clouds parted slightly, revealing something impossible. A vast, rotating void of darkness ringed with lightning. The co-pilot stared. "That's not possible." "It is," she replied. "Experimental atmospheric weapon, classified, unstable." "Who deployed it?" Daniel asked. "She didn't." "Someone who thought Night Falcon was dead," she finally said. "Answer right away." The aircraft lurched again, "Captain," harder than before. Said, "You'll need to fly manually. No autopilot. Follow my voice." Daniel nodded. "I'm with you." "Good," she said, "because once we enter the eye, everything goes quiet." They flew straight into the heart of the storm. Suddenly silence. No alarms, no turbulence, no sound but the engines humming softly. The sky outside turned eerily calm, the clouds frozen as if time itself had paused. "Now," she said, "full thrust, straight climb." Daniel pushed the controls. The plane surged upward. Without warning, the darkness outside shattered. Light flooded the cockpit as they burst through the top of the storm, breaking into clear blue sky. Cheers erupted from the cabin. Passengers cried, laughed, hugged one another. Daniel slumped back in his seat, exhausted. We made it. The woman unplugged her device. The alarm stayed silent. Yes, she said softly, you did. Minutes later, communication returned. Air traffic control's voice crackled through the radio, confused but relieved. Flight 728, we have you on radar. You vanished for 6 minutes. Please confirm status. Daniel glanced at her. All souls safe, he replied. As the plane began its descent toward the nearest airport, paramedics and security were already being dispatched. But when Daniel turned to thank her, the woman was already standing. My work here is done, she said. Wait, Daniel said. They'll have questions. She smiled faintly. They always do. She paused at the cockpit door. Captain, next time the sky calls your name, answer it, even if it doesn't make sense. Then she was gone. When the plane landed, authorities boarded immediately. Passengers spoke excitedly about Seat 12F, about the woman who saved them. But Seat 12F was empty. No bag, no jacket. Only a small metallic patch tucked beneath the seat, etched with wings and a single name. Night Falcon. Captain Hargreaves held it quietly in his hand. Somewhere above them, far beyond civilian airways, a shadow moved through the clouds, watching, waiting. And Night Falcon flew on.